What's up YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. I need to sit down. Right, this is the midweek update. Well, I say midweek. I'm trying to do them weekly, but you know, I didn't do anything yesterday. I just had a day off because I'm running on empty. I am knackered, properly knackered. But I've come in today to try and sort some bits and pieces out. Give you an update, just let you know what's going on. So, first and foremost, thank you everybody for the comments about the dyno run. More of that in a minute, but that was a really good day. We have had a couple more people chip in, so their names are going to be appearing on the screen. That side. And I totted it up yesterday. We're up to £2,790, which basically covers cost of bits and bobs and stuff on the bike. You know, we're there. So anything that sort of comes in from this point on is basically going to be going into the next project, because there's some stuff I need to go through it with you in a little bit more detail. But basically anything that the channel raises just goes straight back into the channel. So we're going to fix this up and fix it up dead nice, like really nice. But anything that's left over will just go into the next project and we just keep on going. But yeah, dyno run, how good was that? If you haven't seen it, it's a two-parter. Basically I shot a load of footage and it was just getting too long basically, so I split it down into two videos and it was brilliant. It's weird because it's like I've spent probably a couple of years tinkering with this in one way and another, but an awful lot of that was sorting out geometry and then building a frame jig for it and, you know, all that sort of thing. Getting tool in and blah, 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 blah. So actual work is less than that. But for 2 years I've been knocking about on this, I suppose. And to hear it finally up and going was just mint. And then you stick it on a dyno and you stood next to it whilst Crispy's giving it hell. It sounded awesome. You can't tell from the video, but I'm bouncing up and down in the workshop like a loony. I was loving that, absolutely loving it. Just to go through it so you know what's what, and then we'll get on to future plans and a few bits and pieces that's turned up. So we got the Dynojet Stage 3, which they don't do for a Bandit 600, right? You have to ask for it, and they will provide you with this kit and stuff, and they say just stick it in, it'll work. And it did work, it did run, but there's a few issues with it that, you know, if we sort them out, the bike is just going to be better. So they give you, essentially it's a stage 1 Dynojet kit, but then you get different main jets. That's the only difference between a stage 1 and a stage 3. And the jets that they give us was a 120 and a 124. And that's supposed to just go. Now it did work, it did run, you know. Horsepower wasn't that different to running it with an airbox, so you know, I mean, it's all right. However, we could get it a lot better according to Crispy. It's massively rich, like about 6 jet sizes too rich, which is a lot. First run on it, which is in the part 1 of the Dyno Day videos. Essentially, it was running so rich it was having a rich misfire. So I scooted back, and that was with the 124 jets in it. Now, they give you the 124s to stick on it if you've got an aftermarket free-flowing exhaust, which I definitely have. But it was still really rich. So I went back and got the 120 jets and stuck them in, which you're supposed to put in if it's a stock exhaust, just running on pod filters, and it's still hugely rich. So I had a chat with Crispy, who works for Dynojet and stuff anyway, he's got an account with him and whatnot, and we ordered some 114s and 116s, which have turned up today, look. Oh, guess what I'll be doing next. Like I say, it's going to be one of these 2 jet sizes that fixes it, I think, and gets the air-fuel ratio back sort of where we want it. I was chatting with him, we've got a plan as to what we want to do. I'm not bothered about what the horsepower is. I don't care. We're already making the same amount of power as if I had as what we was doing before, when it was basically a stock bike just with an end can, that wish thing up there. However, around sort of 4k mark, there's a massive hole in the middle of the curve, which when I first had it dynoed at McPherson's, they were just putting down to having a short stubby can on it, which you think, well, yeah, all right. I mean, you know, he's a mechanic, he knows what he's talking about. It's a little bit more involved than that. So if we can get the jetting right, which we're going to start off by, you have to get your main jet sorted first, basically. So we're going to shove them in, do a dyno run. If we need to put the others in, then we'll have it off and we'll stick them in and stick it back on the dyno and give it another go. But if we can get the jetting right at the top end, you know, where it is just relying on the main jets, then we can start cocking about with needles and all that sort of stuff. We might end up dropping the needles a little bit, because that would help with that flat spot, but until we get the main jet sorted, we're not going to really know. And you can get proper bloody fussy with it. I mean, like massively fussy with it. We're not going that route, because you can spend days on a dyno chasing like 1 or 2 horsepower. What is the point? The end goal for this is that I want it to make reasonable amount of power, although I'm not too fussed how much it is. But it's got to be a safe tune for the engine, so we're probably going to err a little bit on the richer side of the AFR scale, but I don't want to risk anything to do with the engine, and it's got to be rideable as well. That initial flat spot that we saw after it first got MOT'd, you could notice the lull in it. We've already improved it, and we've already picked up power pretty much everywhere else on the curve, but getting rid of that flat spot is going to make it a much more rideable bike, which, you know, ultimately is the goal. You want to ride the damn thing. You don't want to be wet nursing it. So next job is these is going to go in, and I've got some other stuff that I need to be getting on with as well. I picked these up today. Today's Thursday, so I'm going to give Crispy I'm probably not going to have the chance to. No, I mean, it's damn near 12 o'clock now. That'll be happening tomorrow. Then I'll give Crispy a shout, and he reckons we might be able to get back in on the dyno next week. He needs to have a look-see. If not, it'll be the week after. So there will be a day 3 for the dyno day thing coming up, you know, part 3. And that should be where we end up with the finished tune as to what it's going to be. And I'll put up dynographs so you can see exactly what's what, and we'll have a comparison from the very first one to what we're doing now, and it'll all be good, so you can see exactly what's what. Crispy was saying that if you get a Dynojet kit, it's a stage 3 for this, that and the other and blah, 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 blah. You stick it on and it will work, but there's always something that you can tweak and change just to make it better, and that's what he's going to be doing. And once we've got a setup that works really well on this, then he's going to make those kits available. So if you've got yourself a Bandit 6 and you want to put some pipe across pod filters on it and a free flow exhaust, you'll be able to get in touch with Crispy. You can tell him about ASBO and where you saw it. He'll know all about it because he's the fella doing the testing. And you'll be able to get a Dynojet kit, which will be like the needles, the washers, the jets, all that stuff. And you'll be able to mimic it, basically. Don't go running off to him yet, because we're not done. It works better than what Dynojet give us, but it could be better, and that's what we're going for. So, you know, stay tuned on that one. You're only going to have to wait a couple of weeks, I would imagine, before that video's out, and we've got the setup, and he knows what to provide, and all that other sort of stuff. But, you know, stay tuned, keep an eye out. Right, we have had some stuff turn up. Let me show you. So I absolutely loved it on the dyno. That was mega. Stood next to it when he's rolling it on, going through the gears, and it's got that. It sounds like an old school race bike. It's the only way I can describe it. It really, really does. But it sounds awesome. So we have had a few bits and pieces. So I've got a whole load more brake cleaning. I use gallons of this stuff. It's just really good for cleaning everything. I've also got. We're definitely going to be doing the Cerakote thing. So I've got a little water trap for the line. Once I get the cabinet built, there's going to be a separate air line that I can plug into that goes through this filter, just so I can run the gun, the HVLP paint gun. It's just that you don't, you know, it's compressed air. You do get condensation in there, and you don't want water coming out with it. So a water trap is just going to be a good idea. And we've also had this come through as well. This is just a little. I'm going to be using it as a seat lock. haven't even opened it yet. I was looking at all the different sorts and whatnot, and all I want is something really, really simple. And this is what I found. So literally it's just a key lock, and all it's doing is moving that arm to pull a cable. So in the same way that the original seat latch on the Bandit just pulls a cable and, you know, that's it, away you go. That's what I want to mimic. So it's really, really small. The throw is going to be big enough to operate the seat latch, so that's not an issue. But it just keeps everything, you know, little and neat and tidy and stuff. All we'll have to do is shove a hole in the under tray, file out a little notch because it's got like a little thing on here just to stop it rotating. And then it'll be going in, and it just sort of clips in. So we've got like these spring clip jobbies. There you go. That just hold it all in place. So really minimal, really simple, no fuss, and it's just going to work. There's also 2 keys, so you will get 2 keys with the bike. It's just that's the only thing that's going to operate. So we'll shove him away, and we'll get to him shortly. That ain't going to take too long. New front sprocket cover is turned up. It's very slightly different in that the one that I've got has got like another little window. It goes on that way. It's got another little window here, which is near enough in line. Near enough, not quite, with the centre of the sprocket. I actually prefer this one because that serves no purpose and there's no thingy on it. You know, no cover on that one. Apart from that, it's cracked. So this looks like it's going to fit, which is all good. I just got to transfer the ramp mechanism for the clutch and everything. He'll obviously get him painted and stuff as well. And then we've got these. So these is a workshop tool. Didn't come out the ASBO fund because it's a workshop tool. But remember, I've got that dividing head. Well, I've also treated myself to some of these. I need to get the smaller set as well, the module ones, but I'm not going to get it until I need it. But I've got a gear cutting set, so there's 7 to a set, I believe, and that's just dependent on how many teeth you're putting onto your sprocket and whatnot, because obviously the profile of the teeth, it's an involute gear in essence, so but that does change depending on the number of teeth that you got. So we've got module 2 and module 1.5, and that's needed for a future project which we will get to when we get to, but I want to have a little bit of a practice at some point as well and just set it up and see if I can do it. I've been doing loads of watching on YouTube about people cutting gears and stuff. It does look quite cool. The other thing I want to have a go at is single point thread cutting, and I've been watching loads of that as well. The lathe is going to be capable of doing it, absolutely. I just need to be brave enough to have a go, basically. I can shove all that lot to one side. We're not going to need him for a bit. He can go with the rest of the vapor blasting stuff. Right, so next jobs. Where do you want to go? You can go down here for now. You don't fit, but that's where you're living. Right, so next jobs, I've got this to sort out. We're going to have a go with the fuel tank, just because when Crispy was on it on the dyno, you know, he's definitely rubbing up and down on the M unit and the connections and everything else that we've got there, which I really don't. If I can avoid it, I want to avoid it, basically. I mean, nothing can drift. We didn't have any issues. It's just that, you know, you're kind of close to stuff I don't want you to be close to. So this is going to be going on. The other job is going to be the jets. So I think, well, actually, jets is going to be the first thing, because then I can get word out to Crispy that was all good and set to go, and he can book us in on the dyno as soon as he can, really. That all has to happen before the engine comes out for a rebuild, because I'm not running it on a dyno once I've rebuilt it. I've decided, we did that with the ZZR, it wasn't a great idea. People get a bit fussy about dynos and sticking their bike on it, but if you think about it, you're not asking the bike to do anything that it wouldn't do on the road, you know, with an angry man driving it, basically. you're not asking it to do anything. You're not going to be revving it any higher. You know, you're not going to be sticking it on the back wheel and having all the oil not going where you want it to go. You're not going to, you know, none of that. Literally, you're just taking the engine all the way through the rev range. That's why you got rev limiters, so it doesn't go anymore. The only thing is, if it's a brand spanky new rebuilt engine, then nothing is worn in, and you know, metal on metal contact, even though there's oil in there, things do sort of find a home. And once they do, then you can razz it up. But until they do, you really shouldn't be doing it. I did it on the ZZR. We killed that. I need to fix that as well at some point. So we're just not going to be doing it on this one. The engine is going to be completely stripped. We're going to Cerakote it, make it all look lovely and blah blah blah. And then once it's all back together again, it's going to, you know, it's going to need to be running and all done properly, just like it was a new bike, basically. So that's what's going to happen. So we'll get the jets in, get it booked in, and then that'll be an end to the dyno. All right. So the other job I want to do is to get this in place. We are definitely going with this, and I will take you through it in a little bit more detail when we come and do it. This is going to be the next video, I think. It should be quite a simple, straightforward job. I do want to shot blast all that lot, but then cleaning it out could be interesting, because I've only got that hole on the bottom to get into it where the fuel tap goes. So we need to blank all this stuff off. There's a couple of holes in here that needs to be blanked off, but then it all needs to be cleaned and whatnot, just so I can get this in. So I've got some tokens, which he's going to do the do. He should fit in there quite nicely, but it's going to be a case of poking a hole in that. I've got to machine these threads down a little bit, so I'll get a nice proper fit. And then he's going in there, and the whole lot is going on there, and that's what we're going to be running with. I'll be in here tomorrow, so I'll get both those jobs done with a little bit of luck. With a little bit of luck. It just means that way I can run a tank on the bike when Crispy's giving it hell next time round, and you know, it's just everything's tucked up and out of the way, which will be a good thing. After that, we're on to the seat. I think I've decided. So that'll be seat hump and seat pan. And then like the number plate holder, and we just move through. There's a few little brackets and bits and doohickeys and stuff that need doing. Still got to get a side stand onto it, and I'm still chewing things over as far as the front mudguard goes. Whatever I come up with, it's going to have to clamp on around the bottom of the fork legs, because there aren't the points on the lower fork leg, where your caliper goes to, which you would ordinarily get. But there aren't any on this bike, so it's got to go around the fork leg. I think I've got a couple of ideas that could look really, really good actually, and it also means I get to play about with the bead roller and the English wheel, so we'll be dragging Sherman out again, and we just have a go, see what we come up with. But it's as far as jobs that need doing, there's not that much really. What I think I'm going to do is get those last little bits of fabrication done. I've got lock stops that I need to put on as well. There's a couple of little brackets for cable tidies and stuff, and I want to put a few more earthing points in. But beyond that, we're not going to run with the chain guard. What do I want a chain guard for? As far as fabrication goes, there really isn't that much to do. If I get these other bits and pieces done, then all the indicators and all that lot can go on, and I can stick all my wiring on and see where it's going to run and come up with a proper loom. That is probably going to take me a little bit, just because the loom kind of splits, and I want it all to be really neat and tidy, but also logical as well. It would be nice to have a separate engine loom and a separate sort of lighting controls loom, if that makes sense. But how you route it and where you send everything, you need to have something to aim at. Well, I do anyway. But it also means that we'll be able to, try everything. Try all the lights and the horn and, blah-de-blah-de-blah. And we know it'll all be good. And then I can work it all out and where all the connectors are going to go, and we can do a proper tidy job of it. Silly little things like a horn mount. I do want to do a little thing for the choke, because at the minute that's all being operated on manually. Got a couple of ideas there, but again, you know, we just need to sort of play about with it really. So that's the plans. But anyway, so as far as a midweek update, that's what's happened, that's what's coming next, and hopefully you can join us and watch along. There's been loads of comments, loads and loads of comments coming in, which is always good. I love going through them. And people chipping in, you know, little bits of advice, or, you know, just saying it's looking tidy and it sounds mint and all that sort of stuff. So keep the comments coming, because they are gold. And I'm still able to answer every single one of them. There's a couple of people, I've had a few messages about how do I get involved, how do I support the build. If you have a look in the description to any of these videos from this point on, there's all the details that you need there, as well as the link. So just have a look down below, and it's all explained there. If you can't see what you're after, then, you know, just drop us a message. I'll happily answer you. That's not an issue. And when we get to like the 2 dyno day things, I've put in a link to Crispy's Motorcycles webpage. But when we get the final thing and, you know, the proper kit that he can supply and everything else, I'll be putting up all his contact details, phone numbers and blah, 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 blah. Just so if you want to get involved, you can do, and get yourself one and have a laugh like what I am. It'd be great. Be really, really good. But anyway, that's it for this week, I think. I need to crack on with all this lot. I ain't going to be cracking on with it till tomorrow. I haven't done anything today because I had to get some new tyres on the van. So there's all these other little bits and pieces in the background, but, you know, definite headway is being made. So that's where I'm going to leave it for this one. Thank you ever so much for watching. I do hope you're well and staying safe, and we'll see you on the next one. Laters!